Welcome back to the Wonk Podcast. This week we have a very special episode. About a year ago, I sat down and talked with Kyle Newacheck. The day after he came back from shooting Murder Mystery, the Netflix movie starring Jennifer Aniston and Adam Sandler that comes out this Friday, June 14th, so check it out. It was basically a debriefing of the production. This is even before he edited anything. So it's a really fresh take from a director that just got off a movie. As a bonus, we also talked with the guys from Upside Down Creative Media that won the Wonk's Script to Screen contest. Enjoy. Big movie.
Mm-hmm.
The Sandler movie.
The
Aniston movie.
The Aniston
the
movie.
Netflix Murder Mystery movie.
Netflix Murder Mystery movie, that's right.
Yeah, how did that feel? How does that feel to have that under your belt?
Still got to cut it.
Yeah?
Yeah. Stoked to get in there and start cutting it. You know?
Yeah.
That's still a big job, but having the production done feels fucking good.
That's good.
Yeah.
Last day of production, were you like, I got this? Or is it like, ooh, I'm going to have to make something happen in this edit?
No. Last day of production, I think I felt pretty strong about the movie.
Yeah?
I knew what it was, you know? I know what it is. And I know where it can be pushed and where it can just kind of be its thing, you know?
That's cool.
Yeah. Last day was nice, though. It was good. It was good, dude. It felt good to be done.
Yeah?
Yeah. I remember counting down the last 6 days because I've never shot for this long before. I've never shot for 47 days straight.
Jeez. How long was Game Over Man?
Game Over Man was like 38. So this was an extra 10 shooting days where you're just like, oh my God. And then my second unit was like 7 days.
After that?
No, that was like alongside shooting. You do
okay.
the second unit.
Yeah.
So it's like you got 2 units moving at the same time. But I'm still like keeping track of that unit.
Yeah.
They're doing like the car chase stuff. So
Yeah.
that adds another another 7 days onto it, which is like, and then I shot, then I shot in France for like 5 days in Monaco before all of that. And then I had an insert unit going to clean up shit after I left.
Uh-huh.
That's like the 4th crew. So it's like
That's dope.
Yeah.
An insert unit. So like I forgot to get him opening the car door. Can you get that for me like that?
Exactly. Like I need to get the note sliding under the door. I didn't get it.
That's
we got to move
awesome.
because Sandler and Aniston are on fire and we should just go.
Uh-huh.
We should just move to the next thing. You know, like comedy comes in like heats.
Yeah.
You know,
You got to ride the wave.
Exactly. And if you mess the wave up too much, which we try not to, but sometimes you just have to.
Yeah.
Because it just doesn't work any other way.
I mean, it is a job.
But if you're trying to ride the wave and you're like, well, we got a unit, go pick it up. Pick
Yeah.
up that shot.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Just having them do the whole movie. Just say, I forgot to get
Dude,
this whole page.
Totally. Can you go grab it, or can my second unit do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's go back to the beginning of Murder Mystery as a thought. Like,
Yes.
when did it come to you? When did the project itself come to you? Was offered up to you?
Well, it was offered to me like probably a week before I left to go scouting.
Okay.
So that was right after South by Southwest. So what was that, like March something? I want to say it was like March 18th or something. Yeah, because we premiered Game Over Man on the 23rd.
Mm-hmm.
So like March 18th, I got it.
5.5 months.
Yeah, so it's only been 5.5 months that I've known that I was going to go direct this movie, and I've shot it.
Before that, what was the, it was your manager trying to get you the job, right? Or
Yeah, before that, the script existed, and I had read the script. I went actually just to one meeting that was like at Netflix headquarters, where it was like me, Netflix, the production company Endgame Entertainment, and Jim Stern, and then Alan Covert from Happy Madison, Grandma's Boy.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah. And I pitched the movie how I saw it, like what my way into the movie was, and they liked it. But then afterwards, it was like and they only had like 18 weeks of prep left at that point. So I remember at that meeting being like, what are you guys going to do? Like, you got to
Make a decision.
start, Like, you got to start this. You're trying to do this. And then I think like 2 weeks go by and I hear that it was going to another director. And I was like, what is going on right now? And then I got a call and they're like, it's going to you. And I'm like, oh, okay. How did that happen? What happened there? And I think, like, long story short, they were just like made the choice to go with a newer voice.
Yeah.
That had just worked with Netflix. And then it was just, okay, so you're doing this movie in Italy and Montreal and France, and it's starring Adam Sandler, Jennifer Aniston, and now we're in the last stages of development, which they had sat on the script for like 10 years, but then in the last like 2 months of it being in development, it went through an absolute blender.
Wow.
Like an absolute blender, where it was like, I told my dad this when we were shooting, where I'm like, I think that like maybe like 10% stayed the same.
Wow.
And it just got complete. It's still the same. Like, the plot stayed the same. You didn't mess with the plot, really. You just took some elements out, thinning it. But yeah, so it was going through the blender during prep, and I was flying all over the world trying to keep up with the creative of the movie and where it was physically going to take place.
Who was making these notes? Was it Sandler's team or was it Netflix? Who was changing?
All of us together, because I mean, like, basically, like, Jen was changing it, Adam was changing it, Netflix had thoughts. I was moving things around because of how they slotted into production. So I was doing that.
Damn.
So it's at that point, it just became this evolving project that was never finitely decided upon. It was like, we're going at this project and we're going to make the coolest, like, mysterious comedy that the whole world will like.
That both elements work, the mystery and the comedy.
Mystery and the comedy.
What would you say got changed the most, the mystery or the comedy?
I think elements of the mystery, like, I feel like when we were going through it, I'm like, you know what this was? When I read the script, it was a great mystery with jokes. And I kind of liked that. I was like, that's tight. We're going so true to the genre. But then over the course of its development, it then turned into a comedy that had a great mystery at the center of it.
Yeah.
So it kind of just shaped itself more into a comedy, I think, which is not bad. We're making a comedy.
Yeah.
You know, it's good. It's good.
Yeah.
And we shot at the coolest locations. Like, they're so tight. Just went around. I mean, it was just unbelievable.
That's
TK.
awesome.
It was crazy.
What was prep like for that? What was like the for the actual shoots? Would you prep for the entire thing, or would you prep for whatever location you're going to next before the movie?
Well, like, the way it was set up is Montreal was all in a stage. So that was all of our interiors.
Was that first?
That was what we were going to shoot first, except for one of the characters is a race car driver, and he's Formula One. So we were able to go to Monte Carlo and shoot the Formula One as it was happening. So that was like the first production, was being the first crew in history to integrate with Formula One on the streets of Monte Carlo next to cars that are going 200 and 280 miles an hour.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And they let you do that because you promised that you would use their drivers, right? And
well, they want to play ball with Netflix. They want the exposure. There's a new owner. He wants it to be cool.
That's dope.
You know? And they have a show on Netflix that's like going to be like a Formula One inside the NFL, but with Formula One, which sounds kind of tight.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Did you get to pick your crew for this? Like, did Netflix give you a list of people? And then
I mean, the thing is that with this movie, I had to pick a crew that had been proven in big budget movies, basically. That was kind of the rules for me. Was like, you can pick who you want, but they have to have experience handling this size movie.
Who said this? Netflix?
That was what I got.
Yeah.
When I was like, oh, can I? They're like, you have to show us that he can handle, or he or she can handle this
track record.
Yeah. So that was like the parameters, basically. Yeah. But I found some good guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah. They're great. It was so tight. I got my first AD, did a whole bunch of Marvel movies and Star Wars and stuff like that. And then my DP did like Fast and the Furious and Bad Boys 2 and like just some 2 Transformers movies. It's crazy. All of a sudden I found myself in a league where I'm like, hey guys, how are you? I made a show in my house.
Yeah.
And then I made a movie.
Yeah.
And now I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And now I'm doing this. How are you?
Yeah. That's great.
But I was after the performances from Sandler and Aniston for sure. Trying to get real. And they loved it. Getting real, natural, conversational, every person dialect. You know what I mean? Like just relatable tones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the biggest difference between working with them, those 2 big stars, and the Workaholics guys?
I think like probably like Adam, Blake, and Durs have more ego than Jen and Adam.
Okay. That makes sense.
Combined ego.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a completely different game because like I know those guys for so long and worked with them for so long. You don't have to say a lot and you kind of know what's going on. Like you're like, okay, yeah, I've heard that tone before. I know how to help that out or whatnot.
Uh-huh.
With new people, new cast in general, new producers in general, new crew, you spend a lot of the first couple days of work being like, who are you and how do you act in these extreme circumstances? Because when you're making a movie, it's extreme behavior.
Yeah.
Where you're like so in on this subject and this movie. Like you are so burrowed in that people get a little wild. You know, it becomes very hard. It's like you wrap after 14 hours and sleep for 6, and then you get up and you go back in the chair and you're shaving again, and it's like you're putting a camera up again, you're setting another dolly track, you're talking about another shot, and it's like, whoa, we have to be so burrowed,
Yeah.
that you see the extremes of their behavior, and it's learning that with a new crew. Like that's what I found on this one. It was like the first 15 days was like, okay, cool, like we're getting along. And then it was crazy because then we moved. Like as soon as we all started gelling in Montreal, we moved to Italy. And then we have to start a whole new...
With an Italian crew.
With an Italian crew. So it's like first the French crew. That was during prep. That was when everybody kind of learned each other. Then the French-Canadian crew where we shot half the movie. Then as soon as that was moving, we go to fucking Italy and get on a boat where it's like the hardest shit to shoot.
Did you guys have a land unit and then go out to the boat to shoot and then come back? Like
we actually just shot it docked at a place in a harbor because taking it out to sea was even too expensive for this movie to handle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember you telling me about before you guys to pre-visualize, especially the boat scene. Didn't you guys use some computer program and you walk through it?
Yeah. Well, it's just like 360 cameras.
Oh, I thought they put you in like a...
We were going to, but we didn't end up doing that. Oh. It cost too much money. It's like, it was just... This shit there was so much... I don't know how they eat up the budget on a movie like this, but it does. It just goes away.
You're just halfway through the budget and you don't remember, you don't even know what you spent it on?
I mean, you want to get real, it's like the same issues are from Workaholics season 1 that we have on this movie, just relative differences. You know what I mean? Where it's like it's the same problem where you're trying to squeeze so much production inside of a number, and if that number can't handle it, you have to change what the production is, which is why we ended up shooting with a boat on a dock.
Yeah.
But it's like even with a project of this scope, you have to make that sacrifice.
Yeah.
That was the craziest thing in my mind.
When you first heard the number, you thought, oh, we can just do whatever we want. Huh?
Yeah, great, cool, we're good. We are off the leash. Yeah. We are out in an ocean with jet skis.
Yeah.
And choppers.
Yeah.
And we'll be out there. And then you kind of start peeling the onion, peeling back the layers, and it's like, oh no, actually we can't do that. That's too expensive because in Italy they have this rule or whatever, and the maritime law states that you can only have 40 people on the boat, and that's unless you have like 100 boats out there for safety, or it's crazy. It's just like, it's hard. Making a movie is logistically like bonkers.
Yeah.
Then when you're making it across three countries, it was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How's that travel? And that's also part of the 46 days too, right? The travel?
Yeah. Well, no. It's 47 shooting days.
Oh.
So that's weekends and travel discluded. So it was like, dude, I've been gone for like 4 months.
Yeah.
I prepped for like maybe a month here, and I was flying around. But I've been gone for like 4 months making this flick.
Jeez. Welcome back.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Just been in Italy drinking dopios.
Now you're drinking
Now I'm drinking American coffee.
from a Keurig out of a Let's Get Weird mug.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tight. Workaholic swag, baby.
What was the hardest day on set?
We had a day. It was like, because you're dealing with jet lag too when you're traveling. So, an adjustment. So we had a day that came in after we shot the boat. So we moved from Montreal to Italy, and it just messes you up completely. And then we shot the boat, which was logistically crazy, and then had and then had 1 day off, and then had to shoot this big market scene with 300 extras, and it was like Jen and Adam were supposed to chase through all the market, chasing one of the people who they thought was the murderer and whatnot. And it was cool, and we had it all set up, and it was just, they squeezed the amount of work that we were supposed to get done into like 3 days, 2 days or something like that. And it was like, how the hell are we going to do this, first of all? But let's go. I'll come to the table with a plan. We'll be ready to go as long as we don't get behind it all. Then that night I get a call from one of the producers, and they're like, Sandler busted his ankle playing basketball on like some cobblestone court.
Ball is life.
And we're about to shoot him running, of course. And he's got a double, and his double's great. Paul, wonderful. But like, I can't shoot like really close to him. You know, I can shoot like some long lens stuff. And then, yeah, and it was just like, okay, so we had to shift around that whole sequence. Like, logistics started creeping in. Then it was like somebody was incredibly late coming to set, and it was like very hard. They were not feeling good. And it was like, now I couldn't even shoot the backup because the other person wouldn't come to set. And it was just like, well, what am I supposed to shoot today? Like, it's been 6 or 7 or 8 hours, and I'm like, I've shot nothing. Like, this isn't how I work. What is going on? Where's all the pieces? Producers, you know what I mean? And it was like, it was tough, dude. And I was at my wit's end because of the jet lag and the boat and all these other logistical things. And I remember just like, I'm the youngest guy on set. And I remember there's all these like dudes who have made like, 30 movies or whatever. And I start flipping out, like in front of like the 200 people, like they can all hear and whatnot. And I'm like, yeah, like I have my moment of just like, what is this? You need to listen. Because I was flagging this just in general as an area that's going to be a problem. Like a while, and I took it all out. And I was like, I know what I'm doing. I made a TV show for 10 years. Okay? I just made a movie.
That's great.
I'm not a producer on this, but this is not how I produce.
Yeah.
And I like and I'm like, you need to listen to me. You're treating me like a baby.
And you were talking in that voice? I love it.
No, not in that voice. It's like, you're treating me like, I'm tired of being treated like a baby. Like a fucking baby. And then like these two, then Covert and Grady pull me aside, and they're like, what is going on, dude? And I'm like, this is insane.
And they fixed it, or what?
Well, I just I had nothing to shoot anyways. Nobody was there. So I just ended up talking and venting to them for 25.
So this was just a wasted day?
Kind of. And I took it as a burden on myself. But and that's what I learned on this movie is sometimes you don't have to burden it.
But it's your name. It's your name on this movie.
Yeah, but there's so much stuff that's out of your control. You know what I mean?
So did Netflix say here's an extra day to figure out whatever you're doing?
Well, we ended up having to work on a Saturday or on a Sunday or something. So eat into the weekends. Yeah. Which at that point in the production was equally as insane to me because I was so tired. Yeah. Exhausted. So I'm just I don't want to work another Saturday. You just got to roll with it. It's the job, man. You power through. Yeah. Power through no matter what and get some good stuff. Yeah. I also learned that about myself in this was I need to shoot something good on set in order to feel good. That's a good feeling for a director to have. And yeah, I have to. If I'm not shooting something funny or something that's memorable by a certain amount of time on set, I start to get negative. That's your job. That's why you're who you are. Yeah. I start to get negative because I need to look at that monitor and know that I got something cool. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Everybody on set should feel the same way. Right. Right. And so when you don't have that, it's why
it exponentially gets to darker and darker and darker. Where I'm just fuck everyone. Where's my shit? Where's my fucking I'm like a heroin addict and I just need a good shot.
That's the best. That's the best.
Yeah, I need a smile or something cool.
Yeah. Did they get to your level after that? Were everybody more on your level after that?
I mean, everybody's on the level. You know what I mean? It's just you get pushed to certain extremes. I was saying, it's this movie when it was moving in real synergy, it was fucking cool because they were all about it. Jen and Adam are so talented. They're their chemistry together is cool. Yeah. And they play a couple that's been together for 15 years and Adam's finally taking Jen on a honeymoon. And it's and Adam just plays that blue collar guy so well. Yeah. She plays a hairdresser and they're sick of each other. So they get to just bang, 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 bang. You know what I mean? Uh-huh. But the characters themselves are witty. So they get to crack jokes and laugh, make each other laugh. So it's we created this dynamic that was really truthful and close to the vest and just honest and real. Uh-huh. That I think it's going to be the performances feel free in a way that I think the audience is really going to empathize with.
How'd you get them there? Was there a lot of rehearsal beforehand with just them two and you?
No, man, none. We just had to roll into it. Wow. Day one, let's go. Let's figure this out. Let's start hashing it.
That's great. What was the dopest day on set?
There was one day on set where we had to do this stunt where basically, there was 2 days that were really cool. But there was one where we had to do this stunt where they're trying to escape this library. They're being shot at by the killer, who we don't know who that is, but they're being, and so they're being chased. So they have to tip over these giant book stacks, kind of like they did in The Mummy, and just and let them all fall, and they run out, as a distraction, basically. And we set it up in a way where the special effects it could actually be done by them. So in the shot with them, they were able to push it as it fell behind them, and it's boom, 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 and then they run towards camera, and it's actually the actors. We set up this, we set it up. It's real.
Yeah, not dangerous, but
it's not dangerous. Yeah. It's like a ride, but we took the time and set it up and built this ride for them to take on camera, and we did it, and it was those kind of shots are so cool to me because what happens around the monitors is all of a sudden it becomes like the moon landing. And like everybody's like, oh, I want to see him tip the bookcases. And like it murmurs through.
Yeah.
You know, and then it all of a sudden, like I'm like just giving direction and looking at all the shots. We had like 8 cameras up and whatnot. And then I'm like looking behind me and there's like 50 people like looking at the monitors, like getting ready for Adam and Jen to push it and run away. And I'm like, this is so tight. They're radical. They like we had a couple, we would have them a lot on Workaholics. Like the season 2, the first one that I ever really experienced was season 2 when we did like the walk through the party afterwards. It was like a oneer. And we thought we were so cool. We were so cool for doing a fucking one shot through the house.
On a network show, on a
it was
cable
tight.
show. Yeah.
It was a cool shot. Like, but that was the first one where it was like I was in like the kitchen in a little corner with Grant, our director of photography, and then the other room was just packed with people watching the shot. And it seriously turns into like the moon landing.
That's great.
Yeah.
And everybody involved is just like, I'm going to give my all to this. Like, this is it. Let's go.
And the energy after a shot like that is something else too. Like after Adam and Jen come out and they've pushed it, and they come out and they're just like, whoa. And then we're all watching playback and they're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like they're stoked.
Yeah.
You know,
you get a little high
I was
five.
making them do a lot of stuff. Like they were climbing out on ledges of sets and stuff. Like running, doing like tackling. And they're doing a lot of it.
And they loved it, right?
I wouldn't say they loved it. You know, like, I mean, they were stoked for doing it. I could not get a lot of takes out of them.
Okay.
Like, it was kind of like, why?
So,
why do we have to do it?
So it was over. It was like, well, you got that. Good job. Next scene.
Yeah, totally.
That's cool.
When it was something like that, it's like, you got it.
Yeah.
And we have playback, and Sandler's a producer, and so he can come out and watch it and be like, we got it. And it's like, oh, okay.
Was it ever
But
like...
I thought it would be good if we did it like this.
It'd be cool to have an option, maybe.
Yeah, and we would go like 50-50. Or he'd be like, okay, cool, I see that. Or he'd be like, nah, we don't get it.
And if you said like, no, we don't have it, he'd be like, all right, let's go do it one more time.
Yeah, totally. Like if I was, he knew if I really like needed it, you know, like if I couldn't justify having that in the movie at that point, he would go do the other. They would go do it. You know what I mean? And if I could plead a case, I just had to like plead a case pretty quick. Yeah. And be like, this is why. Let's go. Yeah. Because they're pros. Yeah. That was like the first thing Jen said to me was like, I like to get in and get out. Well, I like to do this like a job. And I was like, cool. I'm into that. Like I loved Workaholics when it was set up like that, where it was like we would get in at like 7, 8 o'clock in the morning and be done by like 4 or 5.
Oh, it's the best.
And just be like, going home, I'm gonna have dinner, and we got it. You know, got it, done. It's great. It's not like toiling over it.
No.
And like,
well, you're from TV. You're from TV, so it's like time constraints and everything like that.
Yeah, yeah. And Netflix is just a giant internet movie.
Yeah. How was it working with Netflix the second time around? Like, was there a difference, especially coming from the success of Game Over Man?
I mean, it's like a little. Yeah, it was different, I think, because they had the keys mostly in this one. You know what I mean?
Because it was bigger.
It was bigger. Yeah, in Game Over Man, they kind of just like let me take that script up to Vancouver and build the movie completely. You know, script-wise with Durs and the guys, and production-wise with Grant and the producers. And they never came up there. You know, they never showed up on set. We were just making this movie. And it was always so important to me to make sure that the production ran smooth enough to keep them away. Like, that's the whole idea. That's the whole game. Run the production smooth enough, get good stuff, and then they don't have to come up and, because they got other things they got to worry about.
They got a lot of it.
They got a lot of things, So if if I can do my part and try and help Netflix and get them good content, then it keeps them away and we can, we can do what we want.
And this one they had to touch base every once in a while.
This one they had to touch base, especially in the scripting process, because it was kind of all over the place. Like I said, it started in one direction and then kind of moved over to this one.
Yeah.
And it didn't hurt the movie, but and then when it came to production, though, still, I mean, I'm working with Happy Madison, who have a great track record with Netflix, working for them and working with them. So that company is great at putting it all together. So for me on this one, I just had to kind of be the director, which meant that I was kind of catching a ton of ideas and implementing the ones that I could like filter out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But catching so many ideas so fast on this movie. And I realized like that's why I think I got the job, because I can roll like that. I can think on my feet, can totally come up with what I believe will make it. I can make a decision.
Yeah.
You
draw something in the sand.
Yeah. Be like, this is what it's going to be. Let's just do this. Let's go now.
Yeah. So you wrap, and now it's editing. What's that schedule going to be like?
I think it's going to be. I got like 8 to 10 weeks ish to work on a cut. I'm sure I'll be sharing it with the producers along the way, doing like an internal screening and all that good stuff. And then we have so many visual effects in this movie. Like, it's going to be unbelievable. That part sucks too, because it doesn't suck. It's cool. It just takes forever, because you're just like, yep, another one. And then you have notes for all these shots, and then they come back 2 weeks later. Then you have more notes, and then they come back 2 weeks later. So they actually are going to make me like start turning over locked sequences of the movie so that they can go start working on visual effects for them now, like in like week 3.
Oh, wow.
Of post.
So they have a timeline.
Like, I have to kind of lock scenes. And I shot things in a way where it's like, I already locked it. I know how this is going to be cut. There's only 2 ways to cut this.
Oh.
For a lot of the movie.
Yeah.
So it was like, I can do that. Won't really hurt that much.
That's dope.
Yeah. But it's crazy, dude. It's like, oh yeah, okay, we have to start finishing this now. Yeah.
And you're creating that timeline.
It'll be like through post-production and myself. I have to get the work done. They have to like...
They'll give you the deadlines and you're like, okay.
Yeah, then I have to figure out how long it's going to take me to do it.
That's dope.
Yeah, but I'm just watching cuts and giving notes.
And you like it so far?
All online.
That's super dope.
Yeah, it's all on... It can all be done.
And everybody's seeing it too. All the other producers as well?
They can. I don't know if they're watching it too much right now. They're kind of letting me do my thing.
That's nice.
Yeah, I was kind of like asking them for that.
Let me get it to a place.
Let me get it. Let me sit with it for a second, then present it to you guys. But they can always watch it if they want. That's just how it sets up.
Which unless it's your 79th movie, I think you're watching it.
It's their 79th movie, dude.
Is it Happy Madison's 79th or Adam Sandler's 79th?
No, Adam Sandler's. Adam Sandler's 79th movie. Something like that. Marissa told me that.
That's amazing. She just counted IMDb one day?
No, it says it is what it says.
Oh, cool. I thought she was just bored.
Yeah. My wife counts IMDb movies.
That's like her little...
But like Happy Madison done like 30 movies. Like they've done so many movies. It's crazy.
We're just trying to get one movie at once. 30 movies? Jeez.
I know, man. It's crazy, dude.
You just keep going.
It starts with like Billy Madison.
That was the first.
It starts with
Happy
Billy Madison. Yep. Then it goes. Well,
was Covert part of?
But that wasn't. That couldn't have been. That's not a Happy Madison.
Because Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore again.
Happy Gilmore came out second. So then they really formed the company
and did Little Nicky.
And did Little Nicky, Big Daddy, Anger Management, The Animal, Deuce Bigelow, Pistachio Disguisey.
All Rob Schneider stuff.
Yeah, Grown Ups. Fucking gosh. Jack and Jill. Fucking, they did Grandma's Boy, House Bunny.
Oh,
Strange Wilderness.
You just told me that they did the Goldbergs.
They do the Goldbergs on TV. It's insane, man. It's wild. Like, that's the craziest part, I think, about this job, was all of a sudden being face to face with Adam Sandler every day. It was just like, yo, right now I just want to say, like, I want to quote Toll Booth Willie, just because that's in my DNA. It has nothing to do with the fact that you're standing here right now, but I feel like I shouldn't, because you are standing here right now. And I told him that. He's like, no, dude, quote Toll Booth Willie. And I was like, I'm coming out of the booth.
Yeah.
And I could see his eyes go back. And he's just like, holy shit. Like,
just a mile long of freaking hits.
Yeah, because, I mean, like, I grew up listening to his comedy albums, you know, like.
The GOAT.
That's the shit that, like, me, Blake, and Teddy, and Adam, and all them, we would just listen to.
Yeah.
Me and Blake, totally. Dude.
And now
I'm right there.
You're right there.
Dude, Alan Covert has a tattoo of a goat on his arm, and it says respect underneath it. And it's like, oh my God. Like, you guys were doing this.
Have they been friends forever?
Yeah. Sandler rolls with a crew of friends, man.
Basketball friends too. You have to be able to ball too, right?
Yeah, that's a prerequisite. You have to be able to tell good jokes and be able to ball.
Oh man,
that's kind of all he looks for in his squad.
I could kind of do both.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. I don't know.
I'm part of Wonk though, baby.
Yeah, Wonk's gotta go up against Happy Madison when it comes to basketball.
Oh man, I'll point guard the hell out of that. I'll break everybody's ankles and just throw out. You won't throw out taglines. I'm throwing out taglines with every shot.
Yeah, totally get it. Did you say you watched the documentary before you performed the scene?
Yeah, okay, so Marshall had told me that you guys were doing another contest, and I was like, okay, cool, let's do it. And he's like, yeah, it's from the documentary that you guys had put together. And I had never seen the documentary, so I was like, let me watch it first, and then let's film. Film 4. Yeah, no. So we watched the film, and then he's like, well, what are you thinking? And he kind of had this idea about just me being in an argument with myself, and then that was pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely an intensity to the performance that I really apprecited.
Yeah.
I've watched it about 3 or 4 times, and I loved the passion. It was great.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you for the compliment.
Hey, I got a question for both of you guys. What are y'all doing? You guys just constantly are making stuff together, right? How long have you guys, what's your story? How long have you guys been buddies? How long have you guys been making stuff?
Rob, you want to take this, or? Absolutely, Mr. Malone. So Marshall and I had, I told you, I'm just this puppet. All right, so... So Marshall and I had met at a really terrible work environment place. It was sure, and we kind of had been met through one of Marshall's friends that were like, I used to do videos back in the day, like me and my friends, like a bunch of goofy videos. Yeah. And like right when YouTube started kind of taking off, and then Marshall was doing something with his friend, and he brought us together and was like, hey, you guys should watch each other's stuff, blah, blah, blah. We essentially just kind of kicked it off one night. I think it was like the first time we really hung out, didn't even really know each other. It was awkward yet fun, and put together our first video, which essentially mocked the workplace we were working at. Yeah. And that was 5 years ago in November. We're celebrating our 5th year of Upside Down Creative Media.
Oh, wow.
5 years.
Wow, that's awesome. How many videos have you guys made in those 5 years?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, maybe 100, not that many. Like but there's a lot that I don't have that we've done that I haven't even really published. So I would say published-wise, close to 100.
Damn.
Yeah, that sounds about right. In the span of 5 years, that's really not that much, but we've had a lot of droughts throughout the time. We go through like a drought like every quarter where we get busy with other stuff, and but we kind of try to dedicate like every weekend and certain days of the week to kind of like writing or producing stuff. Just doing something to just keep it going. Yeah. Just mainly work and life gets in the way.
Okay, so then Marshall, did you go to a film school, or how'd you get into making it?
No, I didn't go to film school actually. About 10 years ago, I moved to Jacksonville. I was actually living in Monterey, California for a couple of years before that, and moved out to Jacksonville and met the guy that he was talking about that introduced us. And he was actually in film school at a local film school in Jacksonville. And I just hooked up with him. And back in like 2000, I was actually making music. I learned how to make music on my computer, like I think 99 or 2000. I bought some software. And so I was doing that for about maybe 10 years, just kind of as a hobby. But when I met my friend, he wanted me to edit something for him, and I said I could do it. And I sat down and I basically took everything that I learned in mixing and creating like the audio tracks that I was working on, the music, and just took that and then kind of moved into editing and started editing some of his stuff, which was pretty horrible. But that's kind of how it got started. I just kind of taught myself and still learning for sure. But I think things kind of really started taking off. I didn't really take it that serious. It was more of it's still a hobby, but it's I would say when I met Rob and I realized like how funny he was, because I think that was always the missing equation for me. Nothing against anybody I've worked with or done anything with. It was just me and him kind of had this chemistry and like a natural, like it made my job easier to direct, and I didn't have to focus so much because there was so much organic shit happening. Can I say organic?
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, no, that's the key.
That's it in a nutshell. I've always wanted to do it. It's just it wasn't the opportunity was never really there until I moved to Jacksonville and really started meeting people, because I'm from Tennessee, and where I grew up, it wasn't really
a music town. Yeah.
So that's it in a nutshell, though.
That's cool. And then Rob, what about you? How'd you find yourself in front of the camera?
What was that? I'm sorry, Kyle.
How'd you find yourself in front of the camera?
I pretty much, it's a really good question. I just, I took like one drama class in high school, and that really. What about that thing with your dad? The thing with my dad?
Oh boy.
You got a thing with your dad too?
That's for the other story later. It's the sleepy drink. It was a long time ago. I essentially just always liked comedy, and I would essentially just kind of perform these little acts in front of my parents or whatnot, and would do kind of funny stuff that eventually just led to doing like YouTube videos. Like I said, once YouTube started taking off, I kind of thought to myself, like, well, this is an idea to just at least get my face out there, like so many other millions of people did. I don't know. I never really took acting classes or anything. I just more or less picked it up naturally. And then, like what Marshall was saying, when we met up, he liked being behind the camera. I was in front of the camera, and we just been doing it again. For 5 years.
Well, you got a funny face, and I think that's one of the keys in comedy.
Appreciate that. I really appreciate that.
Oh yeah, man, that's one of the keys. You got to be able to make some funny stuff.
Intense faces too.
Yeah.
I gotta be a funny guy with a funny face. I really do appreciate that.
Yeah, I'll never
That's what
forget.
I want from you.
Like the first face I ever saw that I thought was funny was Daniel Stern's in Home Alone, where it was like, I just see his face like, ah, and I was cracking up,
While a paint can like slams right into it. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, man, you got to be able to sell it.
The iron falling down on him. Yeah, that shot down the They dropped the camera, and I actually think it hit him in the face. They actually dropped the camera down the chute. It was a hell of an illusion.
That's great. That's great, yeah. But it's important in comedy.
Yeah, I do believe so. I have to be. I like to think I'm semi-funny, but pretty much only Marshall and I work together, so.
You only need one.
That's the feedback I get. Funnier. I'm like, okay.
Kyle's the only one that thinks I'm funny.
That's true. That's true.
I would say, TK, you're pretty hilarious.
Well, there we go. That's two.
That's all you need. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, bro.
Exactly.
Thomas,
how did you guys meet?
Thank you for asking. Orange Coast College kind of brought all of us together. You know, Blake, Adam, Kyle was there for a second. Then he went to LA Film School. Shout out to LA Film School interns.
Yep.
Yeah.
Did you say college? I'm sorry.
Yeah, junior college. And then we just started making, he'd make beats and stuff, and I would sing on them. And so we'd make a bunch of songs, and then we made a couple videos. Mostly it was songs before. Music brought us together.
And then I became like a hit director in the comedy world with my other friends.
Yeah, and I sold rugs. I sold rugs at this.
What? I'm sorry. I sold. Up again.
So Kyle became like a pretty big time director from the show Workaholics, and I sold rugs and became a bartender. So, different roads. Different roads lead to the same room. We're in the same room right now. So
we on the same phone call.
We're on the same phone call. We're talking to the same two dudes. So
Yes. Yeah. So essentially, naturally worked with you guys, kind of similar to the way it was like with me and Marshall.
Yeah, pretty much. Just don't let Marshall hang out with anybody else.
That's the one rule we both have.
Thank you guys for listening. We're also doing a bunch of live stream stuff at youtube.com/wonkstudios. Pretty much every Tuesday we have Fade TV, which is a live music event. Also, July 9th, we have Steve-O defending his Celebrity Ping Pong Championship versus MGK on July 9th. So check out our Instagram for details on that. And just go to youtube.com/wonkstudios and just hang out. A lot of cool stuff there. Thanks, and see you guys next time.